Welcome to Talk About Scary, the show where we do just that. I'm your host, Clay Moffatt, and I know what you're thinking. Where's Adam? Well, don't worry. He's around. He's not in this episode, though. This is another solo episode, but it's okay. I'm getting better at it. I hope. But before I jump in, I do have a really cool episode planned for you guys today. But before we jump in, I want to talk about some stuff that's not scary. This is Talk About Stuff with Clay. It's like a little subplot. We've been releasing episodes out of order. We've been kind of all over the place when it comes to content. And I just wanted to clear some things up. The show is fine. We're flourishing. We've actually recorded, at this point in time, I think a dozen or close to 24 episodes that have not been released. The reason we're releasing them out of order is because we've had a lot of stuff going on in our lives, and we've also been trying to amp up the episodes with special guests and different segments that are taking a little bit longer to produce. So what that means is we're recording smaller, easier to assemble episodes, if you will, in the meantime. As you heard, if you follow along with our content, for example, in the last episode, I believe the last episode released was the Walmart episode. Ooh, scary toys. But anyway, the Walmart episode, we talked about making a Last 5 Days 3 and how we had not done that yet. Well, that's a lie. We lied! We lied. Well, we lie a lot. But anyway, I digress. We have made a Last 5 Days 3, but that episode was shot so long ago that it was before we had even talked about making a Last 5 Days 3, even though it's one of our newest episodes. I believe it's one of the newest ones. The Last 5 Days 3, The Freak Building, is streaming everywhere. Check it out. I lied again, it's not everywhere, but it's in a lot of places. A lot, like 6. So check that out. But yeah, I hate when shows do that, and I wanted to take a few minutes to just address some things. And yeah, a few past episodes have been out of order, and a few upcoming episodes are still gonna be out of order. That's just the way that it is. But we do have a lot of cool stuff already recorded, like I said, featuring special guests, talking about some really cool places and going really in depth. We've been on a few more ghost hunts since our last recording season. I know the videos aren't really a season, but we try to keep the podcast seasonal, and it bothers me that when things don't line up properly, but we're trying to get back on track and make sure that things are going smooth, because ain't nobody like crunchy peanut butter. I do, but that's not the point. You don't. Probably. However, I have rambled on enough. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Like I mentioned, I do have a really cool episode. We are going to be talking about the Snow City Cafe. And the Snow City Cafe is located in Alaska. It's either in Anchorage or right outside of Anchorage. I'm not sure, but it's a quaint cafe, and it kind of reminds me of like a Paradise Bakery or Neater's. I don't think Paradise Bakeries are around anymore. I just took a trip to like 2004 for some reason. Yeah, it's a lot like Neater's. They have delicious sandwiches and soups, and it honestly appears just like any other cafe, like Neater's. Maybe it's cheaper. I hope it's cheaper. I hope. Anyway, getting off track as I usually do. We're gonna dive all the way back, though. We are going to the past, not 2004, but we're gonna step into September 30th, 1976. Now, what happened this day was a woman named Muriel. She does have a last name. I have it up right here. Adam will be pleased when he sees this episode, because sometimes when we shoot this content, we are separate and we don't give each other enough notes, so we don't see what we are working on until the other person airs it. So he'll be pleased. I have notes. Anyway, Muriel File. That is her name. Yeah, I got it. This ain't no BS. I got names. I got dates. I got everything you could possibly want in this episode. I got snow. I got cities. I got cafes. I got soups. Soups. Anyway, Muriel was murdered on that date, September 30th, 1976. And she was just outside of her office building where the cafe now stands. Since then, the building has been demolished or something. And this cafe was built where that was. That's where the ghost story comes in. But let's get to the murder. Yeah, this is murder. This is murder. She was leaving work like any other day, but when she stepped into her car, boom! It exploded. Killed her instantly, just like a huge explosion. Like when someone wants to poison you and they want to make sure you're dead, so instead of giving you poison, they give you like 22 times the amount of poison that humans can consume. I don't do that. I've just heard people might, to make sure they're dead. Anyway, it's believed that her ex-husband had wired the car with a bomb while she was at work. And obviously, like I said, this ended her life instantly. They've never, to this day, been able to prove that it was her ex-husband. That's just the story that is told. These are real people, though. And they just haven't been able to come up with enough evidence to pinpoint him to it. But all of the evidence pinpoints to it. It's just one of those things. I hate those things. But that's... meh. Anyway. It's ironically also, and I've read this on two sites, so I'm sure someone in the comments is going to be, oh, actually, Clay, that is false. But this incident remains Alaska's only car bombing. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I guess that's cool. I mean, I feel like a lot of car bombs happen, but go Alaska if that's the case. That's pretty cool. Her ex-husband, his name was Neil McKay. I believe that he was a prominent Alaskan attorney, and he had a lot of real estate interests. But they weren't able to tie him to the bombing, like I said, and now I'm just kind of going in circles about how he might have done it, he might not have done it. But let's go ahead and talk about the ghost. Today, Muriel's ghost haunts the cafe because she wasn't around to have the soup and the delicious sandwiches at reasonable non-neaters prices. I hope. Anyway, she's known by employees to turn the water faucets on and off. And I think that's an interesting thing, because a lot of the times when we talk about ghosts and spirits showing up on this show, we talk about seeing them. And this is a ghost where no one's really seen her. It's not like anyone is like, oh man, that is Muriel File, faux show. No, they don't do that. It's just believed that it's her. She's not a malevolent ghost by any means. She just seems to be a playful one who wants to make her presence known. I mean, I'm sure everybody who has an untimely death, if they end up roaming the earth like Muriel, feels that way. I just want to be heard. I just want my story to be told. It'd be cool if you guys could figure out who did this to me, stuff like that. But she likes to mess with the employees. But yeah, a lot of times it's the sinks and lights. So I just think that's really interesting. A lot of people too, when they're there, they get an overwhelming feeling of sadness. There's tours given, so you can obviously get your sandwich, get your money, but then you can also pay this cafe. So maybe they are more expensive than neaters, now that I think about it, because you can pay for a tour, and they'll show you around and be like, that sink, it turns on and off. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, a lot of people get this feeling of dread and sorrow, and they feel heartbroken. So, I mean, that makes sense. But yeah, almost all of the activity happens at night. Another ghostly thing that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, what do ghosts have against the sun? What did the sun ever do to them besides give them vitamin D when they were living? Tan me. I'd like to be tan. Everyone goes to the beach. Do they go to the beach at night? I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty to go at night, but no, most people go during the day. So this whole ghostly night thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, I guess she likes to make messes. You know, sometimes they don't catch the water, the sinks overflow, trash gets moved, lights go on and off. But the whole point that I was trying to make was no one sees her, but she's able to do physical things, which is interesting because we've talked about cemeteries and, you know, people seeing white figures and hotels and very similar. It's not really what the ghost is doing. It's that people see them, hear them, things like that. And this is the opposite. This is like physical things are happening. So I don't know if there's any pictures or videos that have happened. I mean, obviously it happens enough that they're able to sell tours for it. So, you know, I'm sure there's pictures or videos out there of something that's easy to fake. So I'm slightly skeptical, but I like this idea of this place being haunted because it's a cute little cafe. It's not like a big corporation, such as Walmart, which we recently talked about. It's not a big hotel, such as Monte Vista, the Copper Queen, Hotel San Carlos, which we recently investigated. Something like that. It's just a small little Meters knockoff. But it's cool that physical things happen. I like hearing that because that's the sort of thing that's interesting to me. Seeing a white figure, yeah, it'd be, I guess, scary, but seeing things actually like fly off of shelves, chairs being moved, those are the most compelling stories. And when I see videos of that sort of thing, that's what really gets me like hyped about ghost hunting. So that's basically all I got for you. I like the murder. I mean, I don't like the murder. That was weird. I don't like the murder. I just like that there's a murder behind this ghost. Another thing with Muriel File is so many times there's not a name. We don't have any record of the person that haunts whatever place it might be. And in this instance, we totally do. It's totally you can look it up. There's police records and everything. She was murdered. They still don't know who did it. And that's just, it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm trying to get better at this solo thing. And again, want to plug it one more time. If you have not seen me actually act, because this is not acting, this is just me talking to viewers, check out the Last 5 Days series, specifically the newest installment, The Freak Building, now streaming on Tubi, other platforms. It's awesome. I do want to keep talking about it for a bit because we put a lot of hard work into it, so you'll probably hear us rant on in the next several episodes. But until next time, creep it real and check your car for bombs and eat at Neaters. They got good food. It's good. It needs to be cheaper. It needers to be cheaper. It does. Too expensive.